Hi everyone, I wanted to share with you today my February pages in both my weekly Project Life, which is a 9x12 album, and a 6x8 story album. So if you weren't around in January, hello and welcome. I'm glad you're here. But I will put a link in the description below for the January pages that I walked through. So I walked through all of January in my Project Life. And then I also walked through the pages I set up in January in my 6x8 story album. So today we're going to be taking a look at the second month of the year, February. I have it all finished. I've already started on March pages, so feeling really good about that. If you watched last month's video, you'll remember that I'm starting off each month with a full-size photo and some embellishments. And then on the back, I had this calendar that was something I started doing in my Stop the Blur memory planner last year that I really love, which is a media calendar for the month. So here I was sort of like, well, I don't like how small these images are. This just wasn't exactly what I wanted it to be. So I did some revision, which you will see this month in my Project Life. So let's go ahead and get started. Just make sure you can see everything there. Cool. So February starts off with a nice big nature photo. Most of them are probably going to be nature photos because that just feels like a good opening for the month. Yeah, last month was snow. Or January was snow. I'm filming this in the middle of March. So yeah, so February, I'm using the tab and the word, the month from Ellie Studio. This month I added a little chipboard heart. And this is a photo that we took on a hike that we did. So then on the back, what I decided to do is actually redesign the whole calendar to make it full page. So it's a 9x12 page. And it's actually kind of like constructed in a couple of different parts. Like this section is separate from the calendar so that I can print on 8.5x11 paper. And so what I've decided to do is just take the packaging from each month that's available in the digitals and make that my header for the calendar. Then I stamped out the month name using the Noel alphas from Ellie Studio. Just grab those real quick. So I have them in all the sizes, but I'm using the medium uppercase from Ellie Studio. I love these. I use these for December Daily a lot. And I'm just really enjoying that. And then what I did is this is all printed. Everything here is printed on matte photo paper from Staples, and I'll try to link to that in the description. But what I did this time is I made myself a template in Photoshop so I have all the squares in there so I can just use them as like a layered template and do clipping masks for all of the media that we have, all the media screenshots that I have. And so I just added those in and printed this all as one page and then went back and stamped in the numbers. And I'm really liking how that's turning out. So I'm going to stick with that for the foreseeable future, probably for the rest of the album. And then you may also remember that I am doing, because I'm starting with a full page photo, I have to kind of separate my months. And so for each month, I'm doing a month page that's kind of an overview. So it'll use the title card from every month, the calendar card that repeats in the story. These are all from the Stories by the Month kit. Sorry, I haven't said that yet. Everything you've seen so far, other than the Ellie Studio things, are from the Allie Edwards Stories by the Month kit. And so each month, these cards, the looks like, the three things, the calendar, and the title card, those repeat in the kit every month this year. So I am using them here with a family photo of the three of us. What I'm doing for the looks like card is adding some extra photos from throughout the month that I didn't include on a spread, and either a quote or image card. You can see for January looked like that. So keeping that similar throughout, doing a little bit of touch up with stamping on the calendar card to kind of jazz that up a little bit, and then listing out 3 things from the month that are kind of an overview of each month. So here we get into the first 4 days of February. So this is the 1st through the 4th. What I did, because January ended, I kind of just ended January. I did a little bit longer than a week. So I went all the way through the end of the month and then started fresh over here. That's not how I'll do it every month, but that's how it worked out this time. So this was taking down Christmas, a fun outing for my brother's birthday with the family, talking about my niece's new haircut, working on myself, taking a class. Yeah, some journaling about photos I didn't take. We had to get together with some old friends of ours, and they were here for like 8 hours, and not a single one of us took a photo, and we realized it. That's what the text message screenshot is like us talking about, oh my God, I can't believe we didn't take a photo. What's wrong with us? It was still so great. And so I figured that's a great way to sort of tell that story. So regardless of whether or not you have photos, your stories are still important. So this is using primarily the February Stories by the Month kit. I've got some stamps here. I think everything in here. Oh, the XO is from and the word phrase stickers are from the XO story kit, which is also a story kit from the past that I have in my stash. I'm trying to use up my stash a little bit more this year. So every month I'm picking 1 or 2 story kits that I'm going to integrate into my album with the Stories by the Month kit, because that's not quite enough to fill the whole month for me. And so it's a good way for me to use up some older product that I have. So you'll see things from both of those throughout February. This is also a card from the Start Story kit that I had left over that I wanted to use, and it worked well with the color scheme this time. One of the things that you'll see I'm doing, and I've done this, I did this in January too, is I'm cutting off, there's the Currently Celebrating card, which also repeats every month in the Stories by the Month kit. But it has this sort of checklist of like maybe national holidays or like popular holidays for each month. I am cutting the top off and doing my own journaling each month. So that will probably be something that's repeated. I know it will be repeated at least through April, because that's when all of my family's birthdays are. I've already used that card for March. Excuse me. So that's my plan, is to try and make that product work for me. Just cut off the bottom. That part doesn't work. I don't need a checklist of the holidays for that month, and then use the topper as my own journaling card, or to hold my journaling that I do want it to have. So here's the second week of February, or the first full week of February. Again, sort of layering up one of those vellum cards with some pattern paper from the XO story kit behind it. This is another repeated card every month, so I'm happy to get that in. Anything that is month specific, says February on it, or 2024, I'm trying to get in and get used, because everything else would be really easy to use on its own if it's not specific to a month. Here I used a card, a 4x6 card from the XO story kit. At least I think it was in the XO story kit, to tell a little story about our crafting group that meets in each month. Screenshots from Zoom, pictures. Here we've got a 6x8 insert. This is a 4x6 card from the Strength story kit, or Strong story kit, that kind of went with this color wise. So I pulled that out to do some, I'm going to talk about this in a second. Flip ups. We'll get to that. I tucked it in here as a pocket with a tab, because I don't actually like having flip ups in my project life. I don't mind them so much in smaller albums, but in this big album, it's too much. Some more photos on the back. We started a game night, playing this sort of campaign game with my sister and brother-in-law. So that's what we're talking about. Here is a flip up, right? Which I was just saying I don't like to do. And I forgot that I don't like to do them. I really wanted to use, I don't know, that just turned out really cute. And I wanted some decoration as well as the functional journaling. But every time I turn the pages as I'm going through and working or looking through my album, this thing flips and it makes me crazy. It's just using washi at the top. I could probably put something more on the inside to keep it from flapping so much. It's not my favorite thing. I would much rather have something tucked in with a tab that I can pull out like this card is. So that's just me, my personal preference. This is a digital card that I made. So I used this pattern from this vellum around the outside and then created a white rectangle over top in Photoshop to hold my journaling and some stamping to create a coordinated look. I'm actually really loving the mix of this has handwritten journaling down here, typed journaling and handwritten journaling every week. I am getting a little more accustomed to that. Week 3, this was a Valentine's week and Mardi Gras week. And so we are big celebrators of Fat Tuesday, also known as Mardi Gras Day, also known as something else. Shrove Tuesday, that's what I want to say. So we always have pancakes for dinner. That's our tradition. We actually celebrate Mardi Gras, that piece of Mardi Gras, more than Valentine's Day in our little family here. So this is using primarily the XO story kit. I made one of those currently celebrating cards digital because I had more celebrations to talk about. Incorporating screenshots. This is a photo my sister-in-law sent me of our nephews in their blanket fort. So cute. So love incorporating those little things that folks send along, documenting a little gift package that I got from a friend for Valentine's Day. Some personal photos, right? Our photo on Valentine's Day and sort of what we did on Valentine's Day. Oh, that is a really wrong date. I'm gonna have to go back and fix that. My date spinner my month must have spun when I cleaned my date stamp. So it says it's February 19th to April 25th. That's incorrect. It's February 19th to February 25th. So this is next to last week of February here, again with the layered vellum card and a piece of paper cut down from the XO story kit. And so I've used that repeated over here as well. This one is a combination of pieces from the XO story kit, like this and these guys, and the stories by the month, which is this vellum card and this vellum card and one of these chipboards. And then I use something from the ampersand kit as well, or the and story kit, this card that just matched. And it's got a little pull out photo there or screenshot behind there that goes along with that story. And then the final week, which actually overlaps into March. So this month is going to sort of start in March, and then I'll have my month divider back here. But this was Leap Day was this week. So this is an older card from maybe 2022 stories by the month in January, and I have it as digital. And so I went in and it actually has like 3 things. I added this text, I changed the text here, I changed the color of the dots, and added 3 screenshots of Leap Day episodes of some of our favorite shows that we watched on Leap Day, which was kind of how we celebrated this year. These cards, so this pattern, the XO yellow pattern, was a die cut in the February Stories by the Month kit. And so I used the digital to replicate that pattern on a full card. I think I did that twice. Yeah. And made these 2 cards for where I could places to hold the die cuts. This week has a couple of inserts. So I've got one, I use the vellum Say Yes card and Say No card from the Stories by the Month kit, cut them down, stitch them on, and just use that as a guide to some of my journaling for the week of like things I was saying yes to and things we were saying no to. Cut down a couple of the die cuts from the Stories by the Month kit to use as a tab here. Here I'm using chipboard as a tab on this page. A little assembly collage of different pieces that I had left over. Pieces from the XO story kit in here as well. That one and this one are both from the XO. Yeah, and so this is a nice little 4x6 template, layered template from Allie from ages ago. That worked great to include a couple of more photos in that spot. Here I've put the die cut so I could keep the little tail on it because I actually really liked that part on this speech bubble die cut. Put that on the outside of the page protector so I could keep it intact without having to cut it down. And then I talked about this in January too, but because of the way my weeks are starting, I'm always at the end of the month, I'm always going to end up, because I'm splitting into the next month, I'm always going to end up with a page here that's empty. So for this particular month, I decided to go ahead and for January, I just did a bunch of random photos from the month and a quote card that I hadn't used yet. And what I did here is actually document a little bit about our trip to South Carolina that we took in February over President's Day weekend. And it did the photos in the story about that. So this card is from the open story kit, I believe, from last year. It was in my stash. It just worked well with the colors. And then this 3x8 paper, or almost 4x8 paper, is from the XO story kit. And so I used it as a place to stamp out 5 little sort of memories or highlights from our trip. And then on the back, I have a full page photo. And then this will go into March, which you can see I've already got placeholders in there for March. So I've got my, my month. I don't do this page or this page until the end, like my opening pages. I don't do to the end of the month because I'm not sure what photos I want to use and things like that I don't use elsewhere. So I've got my pieces in here, and then I've already got the cards for March in place, just as a placeholder for those. So they're out of my stash or out of my organizer so that I'm not using them throughout the month. So that is Project Life for February. Again, looking at weekly 9x12 for that. And so let's hop over into my story album. I don't have as much in my story album for February as I did for January. So January had just a whole bunch of pages, partially because I started setting this album up as my main album for the year before I hopped into the 9x12. So one thing I did add was this little story with a photo of us loving on Ruby, our pup, and just a little note to her about how much we love her and why. I just really loved the products, this floral. These were from the Stories by the Month kit for February, combined with some pieces from this wooden veneer piece is from the XO story kit. The next page, if you remember last month, I had this page about my niece Bailey, and this month I did the page about my niece Bryn, who's our oldest niece, Neffling, we call them Nefflings, nibblings. And then, so I kind of got this idea from Allie a little bit. She did a page like this in the XO Story Kit Classroom. So these sort of this was a 4x6 page that I cut down into tags. I did my journaling on there, which I'm not sharing. And I then tucked that in. This is a 2x2 pocket that I stitched on to hold those tags. Pieces from the XO Story Kit, or this is from Stories by the Month. One of the papers that was in the XO Story Kit was this 6x8 paper that had these half circles on it. So it had this whole shape were these completely loving cards. And so what I did is cut them out, then used those as a template to cut out some photos to create a front and back, just for sort of the day of the 22nd. It was more like the week of the 22nd. and filling out some things that I was loving. So that's fun. And something different. And this is a 3x3 page protector that was a 9x12 that I cut down so that it fits in the album. And then that page is older. That one's kind of going to float at the end because I think I want to move it into her album, but I'm not positive yet. And none of these, you can see, none of these have been adhered yet because I'm not sure. I just want to be sure that everything is staying in this album, particularly the stuff about the kids. So that is a look at my album, my 6x8 story album. Again, I told you there wasn't very much in there this month or for February. And I wanted to go ahead and share with you what I have left over. So remember, I was using the February Stories by the Month kit from Allie Edwards that's current. And I went back and used the XO story kit, which is from 2023 from Allie Edwards. And so these are all the pieces that I have left. This is a piece of 6x8 vellum from the Stories by the Month kit. This is a 3x8 paper from the XO story kit, which I love them both. I just haven't found a use for them yet. I have this quote card, which I will probably actually just put in my giveaway box. A vellum card that matches that vellum paper. These two cards from the XO story kit. This one will probably go away, and I'll probably keep this one. I have a few stickers left on here on this letter sheet. I'll have to go through. I have a lot of O's, but not a lot of other vowels. A couple of A's. So I have to go through and see, like, I might just hold on to this and see what words I can create with it. And then word phrase stickers from the XO story kit that were left over. In terms of embellishments that were left over, it's not much, which I am very happy about. So I have a wood veneer XO left over, just one. I have these nested chipboard hearts, sort of a series of those. Oh, sorry, I have two wood veneers left, XO. I have the Today Here Are Some Details die cut. And then I have this whole pack of these, they're like canvas fabric word phrase embellishments that actually are kind of too big for pockets, and I'm not sure I like these. So I think these were an add-on to the XO story kit, and I think I'm actually probably just gonna put them in my giveaway pile. So this is all I have left of two kits, and again, I am really happy to just put some of this is gonna go. I'm not gonna keep some of it, but having 8 pieces to put back in my stash is not bad at all, and way less than what I started with. So I am quite happy about that. Last month was the same. I think I had like 4 or 5 pieces from last month that I ended up carrying over or putting into my stash. So yeah, so that is everything I made in February. I am already working on March, as I said already, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any questions, make sure to leave them down in the comments below, and I'll see you very soon. Thanks.